Hello everyone, welcome to Unit 4, Diet Planning. In Unit 4, we'll be talking about the 6 principles of diet planning. On the 6 principles of diet planning, you will learn how to plan your diet using practical steps for healthy eating. And on Section 2, it will be a case study. You often heard about Mediterranean diet. We'll learn a little bit what it is, and we'll compare it to the vegan diet. And on Section 3, we'll be talking about intermittent fasting. Maybe some of you have already been through it before. And finally, the weight loss plan that we have for you, what we expect you to do and what we hope you will be doing for the next 12 weeks with us. So usually, this is what you have when you go to the internet, when you look at the plate. You have the food groups as is presented here. You have the fruits, the vegetables, the protein, and the grains. Remember, when we talk about the grains, we hope that you eat the whole grains. It has all the 3 parts of the grain. And here you have the dairy products. But let's just be careful here. Dairy is not always necessary. I'll explain that all. So, what we actually hope is that your plate will look much more like this one. So you see that you can divide your plate here in two. And on the left section here, what do you have? You have plenty of vegetables and you have some fruit, but mostly vegetables. And the other section of the plate, you have your protein section here. And remember that for the protein, you can either eat some meat to have your protein sources, or you can actually have your proteins from beans. Remember, you don't need to necessarily eat meat in this case. You can replace the meat by eating beans, where you can actually have your protein sources. And on the bottom here, what do you have? Now you have your whole grains. Remember that 50% of the grains that you eat, we hope that these grains are whole grains. So every time you will be eating, this is what we hope your plate will look a little bit like. Now, a lot of people are often confused about the portions, and sometimes they don't actually know how much should I eat and if what I eat is actually sufficient. So at Dion, we have our store here. We can make this plate available for you that you can easily purchase with us. This plate will actually help you to eat in proportions. Remember that proportions are actually very important here because you don't want to overeat. And you want to make sure that you are actually eating enough. All right. So you can see that here the plate is divided in 3 sections. The bottom section here, this is where once you get this plate with us, you can put all your vegetables here. And we'll see on the left side here, you have your protein sources. All right. It can be your beans or different type of vegetables that have proteins as well. And on the right side here, what do you have? You have your grains. Here it's written carbohydrates. So just remember that you have the opportunity to actually purchase this plate with us that will actually help you to eat in portions. You don't overeat. But how do we do it? Let's just jump into it and focus on the 6 principles of diet planning. These principles are actually very important. And every time you eat, you have to think about these principles here. So let's look at them. The first one is what we call adequacy. What is adequacy? Adequacy basically means that you want to make sure that you have enough energy. Remember when we talk about energy, all right? By energy, we are talking about calories. And what did we say? We say that an average person eats around 2,000 kilocalories, right? But in this stage, please remember I mentioned it on Unit 2 and Unit 3 as well. Everybody is different. If you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're tall, much younger, much older, how much energy a person needs will differ from one person A to a person B, right? So it will be very important to actually know how much energy do you need. And what we will do now is, once you know how much energy you need, we want to make sure that you remove 500 calories or kilocalories every day on your diet. So let's look at this here. I put here a very small formula. You don't have to remember it. It's just there to help you. You just have to use it maybe once. If, for example, you're a man, all right, this is the formula here, but very important section I would like to look here. There's a small thing here called PA, which is physical activity. Okay. This section of physical activity will actually give you a specific number here. What do I mean by that? You know where you are right now. Are you in the sedentary stage? Sedentary means that you don't actually exercise. You just wake up, you eat, you don't go to the gym, you don't really do anything. If you are a man and you think that you are in the sedentary phase, then you have to replace this PA by 1. But if you low active, it means, what does it mean low active here? Very important. By low active, what we mean here is that you do 30 to 60 minutes of moderate physical activity every day. Don't worry. On section number 5, I will be focusing on physical activity, and I will explain more in details what you should expect to do and how do we go about this. All right. So now, coming back to adequacy, what it really means. What did I say in the beginning? I said that adequacy means that we have sufficient energy. And the mistake that people often make is this one. When they enter into a weight loss program, they start starving themselves. We do not do that. We want you to have a healthy lifestyle. You will continue eating, but you will be eating healthier. And by eating healthier, you will be losing weight in the process. And we'll be asking you to do minimum moderate physical activity. Nothing that is actually scary. The program works. For example, if we look at here, we have this person who's eating this apple here. All right, we take this example. The person only eats it's not an apple, it's a mango, and the person is only drinking water. It's nice, it is sweet. However, this is not enough energy to actually sustain your need. How do we know that? We have to come back to this formula. It may still be a little bit confusing, right? So let's do an example together. All right. So here I'm giving you an example. So we have this example here that we can look at together. So we have this person who's 30 years old, okay, and the person is a man. His height is 180, and this is his initial weight, 80.9 kilograms. All right. Once again, don't worry yourself about the maths. I'm just giving you an example here. We say, for example, the physical activity factor is 1.25. How do we get to 1.25? Because we say that the person is an active male. All right. And when we do the calculations here, what do we see here? We put the age of the person here, 30. Okay. I'm just going to highlight it. It's going to be, we can visualize it better. The physical activity level, we put it into 1.25 here. Okay. And the weight of the person is here. All right. And then we replace by 1.8 here. This is the height. So what do we found out? We found out that the person needs around 3,200 kilocalories per day. Okay. This is how you estimate how much do you actually need in terms of energy every day. All right. Everybody is different. This is very important and this is very critical. And we'll do that with you. If you're not sure, during the consultation with me or a member of my team, will be taking you through this process. So here, this person needs around 3,200 kilocalories per day, right? So, but what we do here is, because we want you to lose weight. If you need around 2,000 200 kilocalories per day, we hope that you can eat a little bit less than that. So we talk about 500 calories that we hope that you can be removing from your body every single day. And sometimes it can be a little bit more. And at the end of the day, you find yourself eating around 2,700 kilocalories per day. All right. So this is one of the strategies. This is why in our program, we want to educate you from the beginning so that you fully understand how we will be proceeding with you moving forward. Principle number 2 of that planning is what we call balance. What is balance? I used to live in South Korea, and this is actually a very interesting plate there that they call tonkas, or it's a Korean cutlet, and sometimes chicken cutlet here. What does balance mean? Balance means that you want enough, but not too much, right? You want enough, but not too much of different types of food in proportion to one another. Very careful. Balance doesn't mean that you need equal quantities of vegetables and grains and proteins. No, this is not what it means. Balance here means that when you have your plate as we design it, you want to have a lot of vegetables, and then you have grains here and you have proteins here. This is balance. Okay? This plate, is it balanced? No. Why? Because in this plate, what do we have in this plate? Okay? In this plate, we have too much chicken, all right? And we have so much chicken on top of the rice that you actually see here, okay? The vegetables, so small, almost no vegetables. So what we understand is this plate has a lot of proteins, almost no vegetables. So this plate is not balanced. And oftentimes, this is how people eat. They have a barbecue and they just eat a lot of fried food. And oftentimes, there is not enough vegetables in the diet. And what is happening with this excess of protein, we will look at it more and more later on. We studied that before. Transformation into the fat. And then what is happening is we get weight. So please, my friends, this plate is not a good example of a balance. A balanced plate is the one that we showed you previously. Okay? So principle number 3, a very critical one, is the kilocalorie control. Kilocalorie control or energy control. This is where we want to make sure that if you want to keep the same weight, the energy you put in your body must be equal to the energy that comes out of your body. And that's what you actually have, right here that I highlight here. Energy in equal energy out. So what does it mean here? And I would like us to actually look at it. It means that you have in, let me change the color here. You have in versus out. So if you eat 2,000 kilocalories, you want to make sure that you also lose 2,000 kilocalories. But what do we understand by that? Very careful. If you want to lose weight, what we want to make sure is that the energy in, right, is inferior to energy out, meaning that you must lose more energy than you put in the body. So basically, if, for example, energy in is 3,000 and energy out is 2,000, you have plus 1,000 kilocalories, which means that you are gaining weight, right? But if energy in is, for example, 2,000 kilocalories and energy out is 2,500 calories, so here, what do we have? You are losing 500 kilocalories, which means that you are losing weight. So I hope you understand what kilocalorie control means, and it's probably one of the most important principles that you have to look at. This is why physical activity is important, and we will study it on the next unit. Principle number 4, nutrient density, and we look at it a little bit on unit 3 when we study the nutrition facts label. Okay, this is where a lot of time we get confused. Nutrient density, if you have to remember one simple principle here, and I hope you don't forget it, is that you want the most nutrient for the fewest calorie. But when people give, for example, they go to the store, they order a breakfast. We have 2 breakfasts here, all right? So let's look at these 2 breakfasts here. We have A here and we have B. If you look at B, for example, it's only 144 grams. Okay? And if you look at A, it's 450 grams. Somebody may just say, wow, A is too much. Just look at it again. Which breakfast is actually better, A or B? This is where the notion of nutrient density comes to play. Nutrient density promotes adequacy and kilocalorie control. So what is happening here is that if you look at the 2 foods in terms of energy, this 144 gram breakfast, it gives you 500 calories. And the breakfast on the left also give you 500 calories. But this is what you need to understand, my friends. Even though this one looks small, it has more energy per gram of food. If you look at it, if you do 500 kilocalories, you divide by 144 grams, you're going to see that you have 3.5 kilocalories per 1 gram of food. However, if you look at breakfast A, it gives you only 1.1 kilocalories per gram of food. This is why we recommend that you stay away from what? From sugary food. And we will see that on principle number 5 and 6. We want you to eat food that has less sugar. It gives you a lot of energy. You don't want too much energy. But on a kilocalorie control, remember what we said, we want a lot of nutrients, but fewer energy. Let's look at principle number 5 now, moderation. That's what I mentioned earlier. Moderation here, it means that I should not eat food that has too much fat, salt, and very important, sugar. Remember, I mentioned that example before on unit number 3 when we investigated how to read a nutrition facts label. Let's look at this one. You remember those candies. What principle did I teach you regarding this one? In our discussion, what I was telling you is that when you look at the food, the nutrition facts label, you have to look at the ingredients first. And if you have sugar on the first 3 ingredients, you may want to stay away from it. And this is what we have here on the ingredients of these nice candies, right? We have the first ingredient is sugar. The second one is glucose syrup here, another transformed sugar. So which means that this food is actually full of sugar. And if you look at here, we talk about the carbohydrates. You see you have no fiber, 0, and you have 30 grams of sugar. So remember, we saw this on unit number 3, and if you forgot a little bit, just go back to unit 3 and watch this section again. Okay? So now let's look at, in my opinion, the most important principle in dietary planning, the last one that we call variety. What does it mean? Very simple. And that's what we will be doing with you. Variety simply means that you should eat different kinds of food every day. In other words, what it means is, if you eat banana today, you don't want to eat it tomorrow. You want to eat another fruit. If you eat broccoli today, you want to eat something different than broccoli the next day. Why is that? By doing so, you have a larger array of nutrients. Because the banana nutrients won't be changing. It's going to always be the same nutrients that we got from banana. But if you eat different kinds of fruits, then you have all kinds of nutrients available for you, and that will allow you to live a better health, a better life, and a healthy lifestyle. So if you look at the picture here, we see what this person ate, for example, on Monday, a little bit different on Tuesday, on Wednesday, Thursday, and so on Friday. So it's difficult to actually attack that dietary plan because every day the person is eating something different. So let's look at here. I'm giving you an example. So you remember the food groups, right? So what do we have here? We have vegetables, as we mentioned earlier. And what else do we have? We have the fruits, we have the grains, and we have the protein. But what do we have to look at here? For example, on Monday, this person decided to eat some spinach. On Tuesday, they're going to eat cauliflower and broccoli. On Wednesday, they're going to eat red and yellow peppers. On Thursday, tomatoes. And on Friday, they have some kale. All right. So you see that every single day they're eating different kinds of vegetables. This is what we hope you will be doing. But don't worry about this, because what we will be doing in our consultation with you is that we will be doing that nutrition assessment. You will be sending us pictures, and we will be examining what you've been eating during the week. The same thing here for the fruit. We have banana on Monday, strawberry, orange, mango, and we have the pear here. So please look at this example when you are planning your diet. And if you're not so sure, this is the time that you have to reach back to us and have a communication with us, and we will be helping you in your journey to actually lose weight and live a better lifestyle. So let's conclude this section number one. Number one, focus on natural food and stay away from processed food as much as you can. It's very difficult to stay away from processed food, but try to focus on natural food as much as you can. Okay? Number two, go for novelty. Try something new, like we just mentioned, right? Don't always eat the same thing. Number three, cover all your bases. What does it mean? Remember the plate that we mentioned. You want to make sure that half of your plate, you have your vegetables, and the other sections where you have your protein and you have your grains. Number four, stay hydrated. Drink as much water as possible. Don't worry. On unit number 5, we will be talking about how much water you actually need to drink, even though we already mentioned it on the previous unit, but we go more into details regarding that, talk about physical activity. Limit the protein. I mentioned this one, but I have to be more specific. Limit animal proteins. Okay? We know that a lot of animal proteins are actually associated with cardiovascular disease and cancer. A lot of studies have proven that people who eat a lot of red meat are more susceptible of developing cancer. So we hope that you can stay away from a lot of animal protein. Feast on fish, and we have a plan for you there, and we often recommend that you eat as much fish as you can. And love yourself and always keep a positive attitude during this journey, because there will be a time where you may not lose as much weight as you want, but just remember why you registered to this program in the first place, all right? You do it for yourself, and just make sure that you're having a great time while you're doing it. Thank you for your time.